A quick video on how to make your Nekros tank is possible. I did a video on running one of our cool survival farming the steel essence, and so I this is the build that I use for that. Now for my mods, I use, of course, I have the Umbra mods. I have the two augments. This wall you need that, and then the shadow augment you absolutely need that because this what makes you pretty much immortal. I mean, as long as you have your shadow up, you're not gonna be dying, you know. Of course, you obviously need adaptation, you know. Prime continuity and strength, you need that for your shadows for them to last longer. For the arcanes, you can always switch Fury for Guardian if you want. Arcane Guardian. You don't need Arcane Energize for this build, and I will show you why. So you can switch to Arcane Guardian if you want to. Uh, uh, Strike, I don't. I mean, if you're a melee player, you never want to get rid of Strike. It's just an incredible arcane, and of course, you don't want to switch of Arcane Fury either because I think you don't even need Arcane Guardian. That's why I don't use it. You know, for your primary weapon, you're gonna be using this bow called Daikyu bow, and the reason you're gonna be using this for this mod called Amalgam Daikyu because when you're gonna be using Nikana, it's gonna give you plus 3% life steal. This way, you're already fairly tanky, but you also life stealing. So and you're still on a lot of life. You can also add that Agma mod because you're not going to be using the bow, and 25% sprint speed is always good. For your secondary weapon, again, you're not going to be using, you can equip anything you want. I just have it for this Agma mod plus 6% dodge, you know. Uh, and now the melee is really important. So for your melee, you're going to have a Nikana, right? One-handed Nikana. So something like the Dragon Nikana, if you have that, or Nikana Prime, which is also great. What I'm using is the Za version of the Nikana, right? I'm using this Sephen Za build. Some people build the carb for the handle. I have a couple of Zas. Where's my Zas? Where is it? Yeah, this one right here has a core build, but the speed is so slow. Even though I have a lot more damage, there's not the damage is not that. There's not a lot of difference in damage, but the speed difference is a lot. So you don't I don't think it's worth that like whatever 40 50 even 100 damage is not worth the amounts of speed that you get from the pay you handle, you know. So and then of course the link is the crit and damage build. You need that to get a 34% crit stats from the base stats, you know. And so once you build that za, or if you it's a Nikana, right? So if you see at my stance, it's one of the Nikana. So therefore, that mod for the Yuko bow will count for this Za. So every time you attack enemy, you will be life stealing. And of course, if you look at my build, this is a hybrid build. I have a Riven that bumps up my status chance to 20%, which allows me to equip weapon wounds because as long as you have over 20% status chance, you're gonna be getting 100% status chance at 5 times combo multiplier. And I have a shit ton of crit and great weapon. You know, I have also on my Riven, I have a 2 elemental damage, which gives me corrosive damage. You know, I used to have the Prime Fury for it, but I sub the Prime Fury for this Riven, which makes this completed this build. And for your arcane, for the Exodia, I have on status effect 50% chance to deal 200% weapon damage to enemy within 6 meters. And because you have a 100% status chance at 12 times can multiply, you'll be practicing this quite often. You also have prime reach, so you'll be hitting even more enemies. So you'll be practicing this often, very often. You can mess around with some other ones. It doesn't really matter what you put here. The overall build is fine. So yeah, for my pet, I used the Simite Kuva, and this is my build for my pet, right? I have him. Just make sure he doesn't die. You know, he doesn't have to do any damage as long as my pet doesn't die. I also have this. It's a critical chance link share, so it's always good, you know. But everything else is just make sure he does not die. So back to the Necro build. I want to say few more things. Instead of Prime Flaw, you can always put Equilibrium if you want to. Some people like it more better. I like Prime Flaw better because I can stack up on energy, you know. Some people like Equilibrium better. You can also, what I used to run with, and that was rolling guard. When I was doing really long arbitration runs with Necro, I would have rolling guard because there's only one time you're vulnerable on Necro, and that is where your shadows are down. The moment your shadows are down, you're vulnerable for those few seconds. So what I usually do, my shadows are down, I roll, and I pop my force. So you can always build it that way as well if you want to. Uh, but I don't have to use rolling guard anymore because now what I do, every time my shadows are down, I would go into my operator mode. Let's go to operator really quickly, and you can go ahead and equip this arcane called Megusa Lockdown, right? We have a Megusa Lockdown right there. And so what you do is that you go into operator mode, you lock down all the enemies, and then you pop your 4, and you won't be dying. You won't be dying at all. Like, I have no problem. I didn't die at all. Uh, hour, 2 hours in arbitration, you won't, because of your shadows are just, you're just so incredibly tanky as Necro. You know, if you become really tanky, you'll see if you actually build something similar to this. I know some people worry about, well, what about the range, you know, on Necro looting and stuff. When you're doing Kuva survival, you don't really need range because everybody are so packed up, you know, everybody are so close to each other. Yeah, you might lose 1 or 2, but the only reason you bring Necro is not for the loot. You bring him for the life support, right? So you will be getting, I had never had a problem with life support every time when I use Necros. So yeah, so this build is fine, it works out fine, and you're not gonna die. Anyways, that's it for this video.